Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kate, I make videos about books and bookish things, and I am once again coming to you with the mid-year book Freakout Tag. It is that time of year again. I am sure if you like me, you are subscribed to a lot of book-related channels. Your subscription feed is currently flooded with mid-year Freakout Tag videos, and who am I if not one to jump on a bandwagon? I did this video around the same time last year. I did it a little bit later on, but you know, if you would like to compare where I am with my reading this year as opposed to last year, I will link the video somewhere. You can check it out, although I can't vouch for the quality. You have been warned. At this current stage in the year, I have read 42 books. 24 of those were for university, they were part of my required reading, and 18 were for leisure. This is quite a lot of books. I did not intend to read so many, however, 24 of those were for my degree, so they weren't things I was planning to read necessarily, but were more things I had to read. So that explains why the number is significantly higher than you might otherwise expect. My goal for the entire year was 50 books, but I am now thinking I am likely to hit somewhere close to 100 if I have around the same amount to read for my degree in second year as I did for first year. Which, if anything, I see that the amount is going to increase. It's probably going to be a very hefty year for reading. We will just have to see how that shakes out for required reading versus reading for leisure. I do hope I get to do a significant amount of leisure reading next year while I am doing my degree, but we shall see. And of course, if you're interested in what I am reading or like my reading stats, my Storygraph account is always linked at the bottom of my videos. You will be able to see there what I am reading and when. You can look at the lovely pie charts that Storygraph generates for me. I've also recently been trying out the buddy read feature. I read a book with one of my friends and it was so much fun. Can only recommend that. So yeah, hoping to do more of those in the future. Alright, I've rambled for long enough. Let's just get on to the questions. Question number one is, what is the best book that you have read so far this year? That was going to be Finding Your Feet by Cass Lennox until about a week and a half ago when I finished reading These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and oh my god, that is a perfect book. I just read it going, this is exactly what I wanted from this. You know, from the title, from the premise, from the synopsis, it delivered on absolutely everything I could have asked of a book of those descriptions. It was just phenomenal. I really hope to get to reading Our Violent Ends, which is the sequel, before the end of this year. I know it comes out in paperback in November, but I may buy it in hardback just because I am so desperate to know what happens. I have already seen some spoilers and I'm not happy about it. Call me naive, but I am not happy about them. Question 2 is best sequel that you've read so far this year. I haven't actually read any sequels yet. As I say, I would like to read Our Violent Ends. I guess technically I am currently reading the second Ruby Redford book, but that's a reread and I've read it probably 7 or 8 times by this point, so I don't really count it. In lieu of that, I will say that the second part of Angels in America by Tony Kushner, which I read for my degree, is phenomenal. 2-part 7-hour play, like 3.5-hour long plays each. The second part is just immaculate because it is where all these massive themes and all these really entrenched storylines finally collide with each other. You get some incredible dialogue, some incredible monologues. It's just superb. Please read or watch Angels in America. It is a good time. Question 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to, and for that I'm going to go for Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I discovered Juno Dawson last year when I read Wonderland, which was such a good book. I talked at length about it on this channel, and she has recently come out with an adult novel about a royal coven of witches that was established by Anne Boleyn in Henry VIII's court, and from what I have heard it has fantastic representation. It focuses on sisterhood and female relationships, but also talks at length about trans issues as well, which we love to see. She is an icon, and when she brings out a book about witches, like, what do you want me to say? I'm hoping I can pick up a copy in paperback when it comes out, but I would just love to read it. Question 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I'll be honest, I don't really keep up with things that are coming into publication very much. Just not something I do unless it is with an author that I absolutely adore and so follow on social media. However, having read These Violent Delights, I am now aware that Chloe Gong is bringing out another novel set within the universe, the realm of These Violent Delights in the second half of this year, and I am very excited for that. It's got a gorgeous pink cover from my memory. I can't remember what it's called, but I will put it on screen. Doesn't that look fantastic? Question 5 is biggest disappointment. For that, I'm probably going to go for Guard Your Heart by Sue Divan or Divan. It just let me down in a lot of ways. I wrote a pretty comprehensive Storygraph review, so if you would like to hear my thoughts, I'm going to direct you to read that. I'll link it below. But basically, I had hoped it was going to do a lot of really cool, creative, interesting things, and instead it was just a letdown, to be honest. Like, there's not a huge amount to say other than that. And I was very surprised to then see it's been, I believe, shortlisted for the Carnegie Medal, which is a prize that I have always followed since I became aware of it. And so I was shocked that it got put on that, because I thought it was quite poorly done, if I'm honest. Question 6 is biggest surprise. For that, I'm going to go for the Watchmen comics by Alan Moore, which I did read for my degree, and I've talked about at length in 2 videos so far, but I had expected from the premise and from the few things that I had heard about it, for it to really not gel with me, for it to be something I slogged through because I needed to for my degree. But actually, when I got to volume 4, I got really, really invested in it, and I thoroughly enjoyed the story, which was the thing I was most surprised by. You know, I had kind of thought I might be able to be interested in it, but that enjoying it was beyond my capacity with the things I like as a reader. But actually, I really enjoyed it, and I found it interesting. Question 7 is favourite new author. Cass Lennox, probably for that, because I read Finding Your Feet and went, brilliant, has she written anything else? And then found, yes, there is in fact an entire series that Finding Your Feet is part of, all set in Toronto with all the various characters that coalesce within the story of Finding Your Feet. I'm really interested in that. I so want to read the whole series. I should also add Chloe Gong. You know, I will read most of what she puts out now because she has proven herself to be a truly phenomenal writer as well as story ideas person, if you get what I mean. Like, some writers are just really, really good at coming up with interesting story ideas and premises, and so you'll read whatever they put out because it sounds interesting. But reading These Violent Delights, the thing that really got me was how well written it is. She is so good at putting together sentences and creating such an intricate atmosphere through her writing. I was just deeply, deeply impressed. And then when I found out that she wrote it while she was at university, I got a little bit pissed off, just because how dare you be that talented when you are, like, only a little bit older than I am. Just fucking rude, frankly. Question 8 is newest fictional crush. Tyler from Finding Your Feet. I think I said this before, I don't tend to get a huge amount of fictional crushes nowadays, but oh boy, I really liked Tyler. And I don't know whether it was I like him for Evie within the book, or if I like him for me, but either way, I have some feelings going on in regards to Tyler. He's a very well-written love interest. Would recommend. Question 9 is newest favourite character. Firstly, that is rude, because I enjoyed so many of the characters from the books I enjoyed this year, but I think for this I'm going to go for Linus from The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I read this back in January and it has been a frequent resident in my brain space, rent-free living. It's such a delightful book, and Linus is such a delightful character, and watching his development as the book goes on is just really, really wholesome and sweet. Love the boy endlessly. Question 10 is a book that made you cry. I don't think anything has actually made me cry yet this year. I will say Summerbird Blue and Angels in America were both near things, but I haven't actually, like, sat down and sobbed at a book in about a year, I think. So we shall see. One of the things I am planning to do this year is a reread of the Scythe series, which when I read it for the first time in 2020, made me sob so much that my younger sibling thought my partner had broken up with me, because that's how much I was crying. So I'm really looking forward to returning to it. Equally, I do think I need to, like, prepare myself emotionally for that again, because the ending of The Toll was a lot. Question 11 is a book that made you happy. For that, I'm going to go with Baker Thief by Claudia Arsenault, which was the first thing that I read this year. It was just such a delightful blend of cliches and tropes and really, really fresh, innovative, radical ideas that it just absolutely delighted me. It's a really, really lovely, light fantasy story that incorporates a lot of excellent representation within its plot, and also just has the most gorgeous setting, the most interesting characters. It just delighted me from the moment I read the premise to the point at which I finished reading it. I was just like, great, love it. Although to be fair, I think you can probably say that for anything I enjoyed reading this year, because broadly books do just make me happy, and I don't like... Actually, that's not true. I love reading things that make me miserable, but hey. Question 12 is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received so far this year. I have been so well behaved so far this year, and I have only bought myself 3 books. Everything else I obtained before the start of this year, so I am on a roll with not spending a huge amount of money, but that does mean I have a very limited selection to pick from, so I'm going to say it was The Bacchae by Euripides and translated by Robin Robertson. I actually bought this because I was producing a production of this play, so I needed my own copy to help with scripting and note stuff. But like, I just love the cover. It's got such an interesting design on the front. And then question 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Firstly, there is no such thing as needing to read books. I read for leisure. Do not put pressure on me like that. But also, I'm going to have to try to plan my reading quite carefully because, as I say, I'm going into the second year of my degree, the point at which my grades actually count. So I will end up with a reading list for that at some point during the summer holidays, and so I will then need to prioritise my reading based on stuff for my degree. So until that point, my aim is going to be to get through my physical TBR, which is quite hefty. I got a lot of books around Christmas and I haven't managed to make very good progress with getting through them, so the aim is just to read a bunch of those. Again, I think you can see on Storygraph what I've got on my to-read pile if you're interested. I also still have a lot of rereads that I need to do. I made myself a list last year, I think it was. The video will be somewhere for you to look at, where I basically just put together a list of books that I need to reread in order to know whether I keep them or whether I get rid of them. So I will try to make a bit more progress with that as well. But also just, I read for fun. There's no such thing as books I need to read. There's stuff I would like to get to a little bit quicker, but I don't like to pressure myself like that. I am very much a mood reader. I don't set myself reading lists in any sort of serious manner. I tend to just make sure I've got things on my radar if I'm thinking they might suit me at some point soon. So yeah, we will just see what I get through by the end of the year more than anything. And that is the end of the questions. So we are at the end of the video. Thank you very, very much for watching. Hope this has been a nice, interesting recap. I tried to vary my answers a little bit more this year because last time I was sort of giving the same couple of books as a response for everything. But yeah, it's been a good reading year so far. I am excited for the things I will be reading in the next little bit, and I look forward to sharing them with you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you did indeed like it. Comment down below some of your responses to these questions. What's been your best book this year? What books have made you cry? What do you want to read by the end of this year? I would love to know. Feel free to subscribe if you would like to see more of my bookish content, and I will see you next time.